Hello, everyone. Welcome to Pixelated Perfect. Today, I have with me Nicolas. Super excited to chat with him. He is currently a coach for product teams, a UX strategist, a design mentor, and an entrepreneur. He recently founded Sisters. It's a UX strategy and design agency, which I'm sure he will tell us all about. He's been in the industry for over 15 years, and he currently resides close to Paris in France. So thank you so much, Nicolas, for being here. Super excited to chat with you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, well, let's get into it. So kind of the prompt that I always use is, when did design come into your life?
Oh, big question.
Yes.
I would say that it came into my life when I was 3 or 4 years old, because, I remember when I was a kid, I was spending most of my time with pen and paper and drawing all the time. And I remember that the favorite part in drawing was sketching. So I was really into doing things fast and get a new paper and do it again and do it again. And I remember when I was a child, my parents used to give me a big block of paper when they would get annoyed by me because I was some kind of very noisy child and a noisy kid, and doing a lot of things, very excited by life.
Yeah.
So I would say the first thing I remember was drawing in my life. And I'm pretty sure that long time ago, when I started to be really into digital design first, because when I started, there was no user experience design, no user interface design, no user-centered design. So I started into digital design. But during years, I stopped to draw, because I was a young man exploring life and doing a lot of things. And when I started into digital design, I was perhaps 23, 24. And I remember that taking a pen and a paper again was some kind of very natural for me. And then years ago, the UX came into France. So it was really new, and the first thing I got in love with was sketching. User experience design is a lot about sketching.
Yeah.
And pen and paper, iterate fast, and at that time I remember I said to myself quietly, but I said to myself, okay, this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life.
Yeah. I love that you kind of connected this overarching theme of sketching, like throughout your life, and I think it's really important to note, even as you kind of progressed into digital design, into UX design, that sketching has still always been a part of that process. Like, that's never gone away.
This is the most important part, because in fact, this is the moment when everything happens. In fact, of course, in UX strategy, you do a lot of workshopping, and it's a lot of brain work. But when you do sketching, there is some kind of magical moment, and you really enjoy the moment. You really enjoy the design process at that moment, because you just have your brain, your pen, your hand, and it's I don't know how to describe it, but it's easy. That moment is very easy. This is the best part. And even in when we're going to talk about it later, but the best part in helping young designer to learn what is design was the sketching moment. So, okay, you can show something. It's better to teach with pen and paper. I don't know how to describe it. Even today, and I don't want to find an explanation.
Yeah.
This is so natural. This is the best moment.
Totally. So I know you kind of mentioned we're going to talk about that, especially you kind of as a UX mentor, but I'm curious what you say to people that are like, oh, I'm not good at sketching or I'm not good at drawing. Like, of course, we know that that's not really the point of it. That's not really what you get out of it. But how do you kind of like convince someone that's looking to dive into it?
I don't want to I don't want you to think that I'm kind of a crazy guy, but if you don't know how to sketch and if you don't like it, I think you're not a designer. That's all.
Yeah.
I recruited a lot of young designers because I had I just funded a new company, but I funded 4 agencies focused on digital design and then on UX design. And when I want to recruit something, when I want to hire a new talent, I don't care about the experience, the school, whatever. I don't care about that. There is always a moment I will give him or her a pen, a paper, and give her or him a problem to solve in terms of experience. And I say, show me with just a pen and paper or a whiteboard or whatever, but show me with only your brain and your hand. This is the moment that you can say, okay, you're a designer or not. So I know it can sound a bit radical, but this is the way I do it. And I never had, I never made mistake using this methodology to hire people.
I really like that. I think that's super interesting. I totally agree. It doesn't really matter like the school they went to or anything like that. What matters is like that their values and their mission and like how they think about design is kind of in line with you and your agency and what you guys are looking to do. And I think that that's an interesting test is like, okay, I don't want you to like redesign this. I want to give you a problem. I want to see how you solve it on a piece of paper.
You talk about values, and I think there is a very, very important value in sketching, because if you can sketch, if someone asks you to, okay, sketch me a solution, and the people is okay, and he can do it very, very quickly, there is a value behind that, and that value is authenticity. Okay, I don't need anything else. I want to prove my value, my own value as a designer. So I am authentic. And even if sketching is all about accepting that you will do mistakes. There is no sketching starting with the right solution at the beginning, you need iterations. So being able to take a pen when you are asked to and do it, even if you know you will be wrong at the first time, it's showing your value. I think this is the most important value that you are showing at that moment.
Yes. I just bolded something you said, which I thought was really powerful, is like when you put pen to paper, you're accepting that you're going to make mistakes, right? You're not going to make that perfect. And that's the process. It's not always thinking about the end result. Sometimes it's the process involved to getting there is really when you kind of discover everything.
Yeah. As I said, it reminds me when I started to draw, and I was really a kid, but I don't know how it can sound real, but this is the reality. I was 4 years old, and I wanted to be a comic book drawer, a comic book artist. And at the same time, I felt that I was not skilled enough. And so everything was about trying.
Mm,
So trying very fast, very fast. And you will draw a hand, a part of the body, an eye, a mouth, and every time you fail, so you do it again and you do it again. And
yeah.
I could say that even today, I'm still not skilled enough to draw a face very, very well, or the way I would see it. And but the process of trying is really cool for me. I really like
Yeah.
it.
I like feel the passion. It makes me like, to be honest, in my designs, a lot of the time I'm like, oh, I just need to jump in. And I feel like you're telling, like, I really appreciate us talking about this because I always see the value in sketching. And there are definitely instances where I'm like, meh, I'm just going to move on to the next step. So I think that you're really like pushing me to like
Cool.
push my team to like don't forget about sketching and how powerful it is. I think everything you're saying is so true.
So yeah, yes, it is. This is the
Yeah,
best part. This is when you enjoy when you
yeah,
enjoy it.
right.
I, 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 and I, I'm gonna look very old, but when I'm started in digital design, there was only Photoshop,
Yep.
and then Sketch, and then Figma, and so perhaps tomorrow we're gonna design into some kind of metaverse, or I
Yes.
don't know,
Yes.
Uh, so at the end, what is? Let's imagine that everything disappears. You will still have your hand, and even if you don't have a paper, you can take a stone and on a wall and try to do something. So
Yes.
this is the way. This is my the way I see design. It's all about feeling the joy into the moment that you do it, freely. You can feel it. There is a connection between your brain and your hand, and your brain seeing your hand represent. So this is design, and perhaps I can tell more about, for example, Figma and all the things that changed in the last years. At the beginning, we didn't have the components, we didn't have the
Right.
design system methodology. And I think in a way, it became a problem because today we I have the feeling that the product teams, they want product designers, uh, which means, at least in France, it means that we want very high skilled Figma people.
Mm,
So you have to be very precise when you do components with auto layout styles and
mm-hmm.
whatever. And at the end, you have people really, really good at it. But if you take everything away, and you just have the people in front of you in a workshop, for example, with just pen and paper, you're gonna have bad surprise most of the
Right.
time.
Right. It's like that underlying knowledge of like color theory or like all those
Yeah,
basics that you need to know about design before Figma emerged. And it's like right now all the designers are so skilled in Figma that they don't know some of those best practices and some of those overarching themes that make a designer such a great designer.
yeah. User experience design is the science of user flow.
Right.
It doesn't have anything to do with uh, a design tool, a design software. You know, it's yes, just helping people to get from A point to a B point,
Right.
and it's all about that. So
Right.
you're only skilled only skill, sorry, should be empathy. And when you draw, when you sketch, this is what you have in mind. Well, I'm doing that very quickly. Okay, if I am the user doing the task, is it cool for me? Is it efficient? Is it a great experience? So you need to do that quickly. So it has nothing to do with the softwares. It's all
Right.
about user flow.
I like what you said is like the skill of like of the designer is empathy. And so you kind of mentioned a couple of things. Is it efficient? Is it a great experience? Do it quickly. For designers that are kind of looking for this checklist of, okay, let me do a quick sketch. What do I need to keep in mind? What are those like things you would suggest those designers to keep in mind as they're sketching?
The flow, and the flow. When you sketch something, you have to imagine all the time what happened before and what will happen after. So every time you sketch something, this is not a static state of something. In the brain of the user, something happened before and something needs to happen after. So the flow is always, every time I imagine the experience of my user, I don't know, I see a river all the time, a river.
Yeah.
I see that I have that picture in mind all the time. So it helps me to think about nothing is perfect. Everything comes from somewhere and everything goes somewhere. And the brain, when even if you open your application, even if you think you start the flow when you open the application, no, something happened before.
Yes.
And so you cannot control everything, of course. You cannot imagine everything, but trying to imagine everything is the most efficient way to design great user experience. So the flow is the main word in everything. So if I have an advice for young designer, it's okay. You should not be focused on are my components okay on Figma? No, of course they need to be clean. The Figma file needs to be clean, of course, but this is only a tool to do something else. And what you have to do is make the user, so let's say, help the user accomplish the task he wants to do.
Yes.
And in the best condition that you can do. So the flow is everything. The flow is everything. I work with many customers, but I have one coming in my mind. I worked on a very, very big experience map for a customer, and we realized that there were moments on touchpoint which were very joyful for the customers, but because of what happened before, they cannot enjoy that moment at the same level of joy that we could achieve. So yes, okay, we don't have nothing to do on that touch point. We have to work on 3 or 4 touch points before that.
Right.
So when you think Figma, for example, I don't want to look at the Figma enemy or something like that, but my advice would be think global, and again, with pen and paper, you can really create a complete user flow very quickly, just with blocks and or yes, like comic strip. I don't know. Yes. And drawing your user journey very fast and say, okay. What I'm doing is here, but here, what happens here is very is a consequence of what happened before. So the flow is everything.
I love that. I think that's a,
Thank you.
I love that. I love the conversation with you because it's like we overcomplicate. We're like, oh yeah, Figma, we need to choose components, we need to do all these things. You're like, no, like the basic, like what you have to get right and what you need to spend your time on is the flow, on sketching. And that is so powerful because that's true. And I think sometimes, especially new designers get like all caught up in, and like, yeah, like the color, like, yeah, organization or building a design system, but you can't have a great product if you don't think about the user and you don't think about the flow at the beginning. Doesn't matter
Of
how many
course.
components you have, how good they look. If it doesn't make sense at the
That,
beginning, it's not going to work for the
of
customer.
course, and that's why I decided to be to specialize myself into user experience strategy, which is a moment that you don't think about your Figma files at that moment. You are the owner, you are responsible of the user flow.
Yes.
So you have to focus only on the flow, and then you have to explain the flow to your designer so they can find solutions which are really how to say it. So they choose their solution, understanding at what moment they are in the flow. So of course, they will focus on choosing a solution that help the experience and that helps the experience to be fluent, to be efficient. So they take a distance with the Figma considerations, right, and all that. So, for example, young designers or product designer, they have a lot of patterns in mind.
Yes.
Which is the key. You should be a library of patterns when you are a designer, but you don't choose the pattern because it looks cool. No, you choose a pattern because it makes sense at that moment.
Yes.
So this is the way we can help young designers. Okay, you've got your library, but you have to understand what to choose at what moment in that library.
I love that. Well said. Okay, so I want to know how you went from a 3 or 4 year old sketching to becoming this UX experience strategist. So like what kind of was your career path to be able to have all of these amazing thoughts and ideas of everything we talked about already?
To be really honest, my career and my whole life was about accepting the chaos. I never really had a plan. I was a very party guy, doing a lot of things, and I didn't care about anything during a long time. And even when I started my first company, it was it happened like that. I don't even remember. I remember, but because I tried to work in agencies, but it didn't work, and I had to say, okay, I'm going to leave, or they would fire me because I didn't fit. I didn't fit in. So it's all about chaos and accepting the chaos. And so I never had a career path and a career plan, nothing like that. So what I had all the time driving me is my passion to do things precisely, being accurate, being an expert in everything that I wanted to try. And of course, the real change. So I started in my first digital studio. So it was a fail. It didn't really work. But I met someone and a customer. And after a while, that customer said me, okay, I'm going to launch a new company, an agency like you, but bigger. Do you want to do you want to come in and being a creative director in that company? I said, yes, why not? But I want to be a partner too. I want to be in the business also. Okay,
Yes.
let's do it. Come and take 15% of the company. Okay, so I was engaged and I developed it. And after a while, the UX came in France. Okay, what is that? What is that? That methodology, the design thinking. Wow, it was amazing for me. And at that moment, sorry, I realized, I said, okay, everything led me to that moment. And this is something. They work in workshops, on whiteboards, they draw things, they make people collaborate, and being creative together, people who are not creative at all. Yes. They take all the people and everybody finds solutions to very complex problem. It looks easy. It is not. In fact, I realized it, but it looked so easy. And I started to think about that. Okay. This is amazing. And so I said to my partner, I'm sorry, but I need to leave. I want to create a UX agency. I want to do that. And I don't want to do it in that company. I want to create something new. And at that time in France, we had 2 or 3 major UX consulting agency, design agency. So I said to myself, okay, I want to be the outsider. I want to be, like Rocky. I want to fight the big ones, but I want to find my place. So I had friends at that time that I say, okay, do you want to do it with me? We launched the company, and after a while, I said, okay, nobody do UX design for B2B market. Let's do that. And I realized that, wow, this is so much fun because you have access to the user immediately. How to say it, user experience in B2B is very, very important because it's about using a software, a SaaS or something like that, sometimes 8 hours a day. So user experience becomes critical and very important. So I decided to develop it. And yes, all the time, every day I said to myself, okay, this is so much fun. I like what I do. And I never stopped.
That's amazing. Oh my gosh, I'm like so inspired by your story. I think that some questions I want to ask you about are like, I mean, obviously you're an entrepreneur. Like you're like, I'm going to do things. I'm going to do them on my own, or I'm going to like rethink how the whole industry works. You're like, where can I fit in? So what would be your advice for designers that are looking to kind of break into like their own agency, or how should they go about thinking about starting kind of their own thing?
That's not an easy question because
definitely.
So I left that company 2 years ago, 1 year and a half, because of a conflict between the partners, and I didn't want it to. I don't like conflict, so I wanted it to stop. So I said, okay, I prefer to leave. Even if I founded the company, I prefer to leave and take it and do what you want, but I don't want to go this way. So I started for the first time of my life as a freelance. And after a few months, someone called me, I need a team. Can you create a team again? So I did it. And I said, wow, I cannot give up with the agency model. I want to create a new one because this is really, okay, I missed it so much. So I got into that process of thinking about an agency again. And I quickly realized that, okay, things have changed, and creating an agency in the field of UX design is not as easy as it was 12 years before. Why? Because every product team has grown up, has They at the beginning it was a mess, launching a product. What does it mean?
Right.
But then now you have product managers, VP product designer, UX researcher. Everything is very well organized, so they don't need an agency anymore. This is not really true, but this was in my mind. They don't need agencies anymore.
Right.
So my process during 6 months was, okay, what can we? I want to launch an agency because this is what I love, and this is what I know. This is what I know. So the process was about what is the new set of values that an agency can bring to the customers.
Mm-hmm.
It cannot be about product design anymore.
Right.
And it cannot be about UX research. For example, 10 years ago, when you were able to conduct a UX research program, it was crazy. Wow, they are so skilled. But no, this era is finished.
Right.
Is over. So I thought about, okay, where is the value? And this is my advice. Take time to find where you can add value. And so you look at the customers that you want to work with, and you take your time, look at them very closely. Where are the pain points? What kind of value you can bring to them? So at the end, I realized that, okay, they have still big troubles collaborating. So as a skilled facilitator, I will create something around collaboration, facilitation, even if the product and service design is the goal. Where we can add value is help them collaborate. How can we help them organize a system around collaboration that can accelerate their process of design? So this is what we do at Sisters, and we just started 3 months ago. It's very new, but we took almost 1 year with my partners to think about that new model. And at the end, we're going to see if it works or not. I cannot say for the moment, but for the moment, we're just starting. But the predictions are very good, and so yes, it's all about find something they need. Don't start from what you can do and what you know how to do. You have to. In the product team, they talk about product market fit, and I would talk about passion market fit.
Yeah.
The fit between your passion, what you want to do, and is there a need on the market? So the value is here. Yes. I love to do that, and they need that.
I think that's really powerful. I think this is for all the entrepreneurs out there that maybe were doing freelance and they're like, whether it's their first time or their fifth time starting an agency, I think that it's really, you have to take the time to understand what you're doing. And so that's honestly, that's a lot of what we did at the design project, the company that I founded. It's that idea of what can we do? What's out there in the market? And what is the differentiator? What can we do that's going to be a fit for our customers, for their needs? And this idea, so we came up with this idea of a subscription-based model of startups that need product design can come to us and get a designer, and depending on their needs, they'll be paying based on a subscription versus maybe a traditional agency. And that was something that doesn't really exist right now, or hasn't, well, it's starting to exist more and more, but that was something that it took a really long time to think about. The amount of time that my partner and I sat down, probably close to a year, of going through all of those branding exercises, understanding what we really wanted to do, understanding what might work, what might not work, what we can ask about, what we can put out in front of people. And so the upfront work is something that you, an entrepreneur, has to be willing to do, because it's not pretty. It's hard. It's difficult. It's
Yes, it is.
patience.
You
And
have
you'll
to
get
love it. You have to be
yes.
engaged 100%.
Yes. Yeah. So
So
I think that's great advice.
it's not only about, okay, there is something to do, that market is open, I can do that. I could, even in that market, I could send a lot of product design and UX research, because I have the reputation. I'm getting old. People are confident with my projects. But I said to myself, I don't want to do that anymore, because I still want to be useful. I want to help them. I want to see, when I work with them after a day of work, of workshop, I want to see the smile on their face and saying, okay, the problem is on the way to be solved. We trust this guy and his team. And when you see that on the face of your customers, of course, you sleep well, and you want to wake up the next day.
Yes.
So it's all about that. If you only do something for doing UX and getting paid for that, that's what the fuck. I don't want to do that.
Right. I mean, it's the passion, and I can like feel the passion from you. Like, you have this direction, this idea, and you're really going to push it. And you want to make a difference to these customers, and you want them to see the value of a facilitation and a workshop, and showing, bringing all of these ideas and all of this history that you have in the background and all these things to a customer, and seeing how it makes a difference in there.
Yeah, this is it. And I don't really know. We can talk free about mentoring, because I think it's very. I didn't really understand how it came into my mind. But when I started mentoring new young designers on an ADP list, something happened that, okay, ADP list is a very powerful tool because there is no money and everything is there. There is no money. It's all about relationship between people with no business at all. And it gave me, it took me back to the passion, the real passion, Okay, I realized that, okay, it's such a long time I didn't talk about design and worked on design topics without hoping getting paid for that.
Yeah.
without asking money. So it's all about that engagement. So, and in my mentoring session, I always try to help people to find their path to that passion and say, oh, I want to be a product designer. And usually after 1 hour, they realized that they don't really want to be product designer. There are things much more interesting in design than just being a Figma machine, a Figma robot.
Right.
So it's just
no, that's so beautiful. And I think, like, because this industry right now is blowing up, like, there's so many career shifters, there's so many people going into design and understanding, like, what is it about design? What is it about UX design? What is it about product design that interests you? Because I'm sure that's really fascinating for you to help them uncover what it is about design, and then helping them kind of like set their course, like be like, okay, if this is what I want to do, and this is my goal, and this is what I'm passionate about, this is XYZ needs to happen. It's not becoming a Figma expert, it's becoming a sketching expert.
So that mentoring thing is very cool for that, because as there is no, it's very free, very free talk, and you don't have any any goals except helping people to find their way. This is the way I see mentoring.
Yeah.
It's half mentoring, half coaching for me.
Right.
So just because people in the yes, in UX design, there are so many core online courses,
Yes.
so many training sessions everywhere,
Yes.
and a lot of people talk with me and say, "Okay, we just talk 30 minutes," and I realized that nobody taught me anything in those courses, in those training sessions. I just understand now what UX is all about.
Wow.
And and I said them, this is just because I don't have any plan. I don't have nothing except giving you a bit of my passion to see if you like that also, and if you can do something, and if you really love user experience design. I'm pretty sure that you will try everything. You will try UX research, UX strategy, product design, sketching, everything, because this is what passion is all about.
Yes.
Trying everything, because what we want is the result. We don't want to be product designer. We want to create great user experience. So if we need to do UX research for that, we're going to do UX research. If I need to do UX strategy, I will do UX strategy. If I need 1 week of workshop with boring customers, I will do 1 week of workshop with boring customers, because what I want is not being a designer. I want to create great user experience.
Yes.
So when you feel that passion in the heart of people, it's very crazy. And when there is no money in the process, it's even bigger.
I love that. And I think from the designer perspective, the mentee, it's like you're helping them think about it not in a money perspective, because I hear so many junior designers that are like, okay, I want to get into UX design because I know that my first job out of school, I'm going to make $100,000, right? And it's like, okay, take that out of the picture. What is it about design that you love? And I think that reigniting that passion and reframing it for these designers that it sounds like you're doing is really powerful. And the designers out there listening to this podcast, like, take a step back and try to understand what is it about design and what do you love about design. And then I think that's really where everything.
That's it. The loop is closed and we are back to the beginning, because everything is about empathy. It's all about what you will do for a user. And this is something I learned working in the B2B market, because when you have someone using a product 6-8 hours a day, 5 days a week, and you make their experience just a little better, just a little more comfortable, as they do it 5 days a week, when you have them perhaps 1 month later, because you want to do test again and or getting feedback from the 1 month of use. And when they tell you, okay, you changed my life, but because it's perhaps it's just a bit more comfortable, but as I use it every day, it changed everything.
Wow. Yes.
And when you have that result, it's amazing. And that's why I'm 47, and I know there was a moment in my life I said, okay, perhaps that job is close to some kind of mainstream, not so interesting. But hopefully we had the blockchain, we had the metaverse, we had artificial intelligence, we have many things coming in the playground, and so it's exciting again. And okay, even I'm 47. This is 15 years, really. I would say really 12 years in user experience design, and more, a lot of perhaps 20 years in digital design.
Yeah.
But I know aged 47 that I don't want to stop. I want to continue and I want to grow. I want to learn. I want to get a new team of very high skilled people on UX strategy, because I know we can do crazy things with those new technology. And even if the users are very skilled also, because they know user interface perfectly, they are used to manipulate products all the time. So I think we are entering a new era of UX design. And even if 2 years ago, between in the COVID, we had the feeling that, oh, this is not going well. This is not going in the right direction. And perhaps all that was a dream, you know?
Right.
And there was a strange moment, a bit sad.
Right.
But perhaps it was also related to my own story. But there was a moment of sadness and yes, losing hope. And I'm on a new cycle, and I realized that everything is exciting again, and we have very, very great things to achieve now.
I love it. So beautifully said. I have one final question, which is kind of related to this as we kind of close out and hearing about your journey in the future and where your agency is going to go and like this new era. I love how you define that. So my last question to you is, how do you see ChatGPT? How do you see AI? How do you see these tools coming in and helping designers like us? How do you see us being able to work within some of this new technology that's coming out?
Very good question. First, I don't want to imagine everything because I want to be surprised.
Yes, love it. Me
too. And you know what's funny? I will answer the question, but what's funny is that there are many years that we are looking at artificial intelligence, and we say, okay, this is what's gonna happen, and we already knew what's happening today. But even if we knew, we are surprised. It went so fast in few weeks like this too.
Yes.
I still don't understand how it went so fast in a few weeks. Okay, ChatGPT was everywhere on LinkedIn, social networks, everywhere.
Yes.
But the future for me is that, as I said, we have to focus on user strategy and understanding what experience is all about in terms of psychology, behavioral science, neuroscience, because all the production, the production process, like we said, doing Figma files, there is a chance that everything will be took in charge by artificial intelligence. I can already see that ChatGPT can create a UX research interview or something like that, and even conduct, I know, products that use artificial intelligence to do user research. So, and I even saw a website creating wireframes with artificial intelligence. So it can be a great opportunity for designer to realize that, okay, we are our role is not to create a user interface, is to think about user experience. So the machines will not do that job before a long time. This is not Skynet era, you know, we are not in Terminator for the moment. But everything, I would say it will happen exactly the same thing that in the Industrial Revolution. Machines started to do the job for us, but not the brain work.
Yes,
so totally. Of course, machine will do everything, create interface, create a user interview script, whatever, but thinking about what kind of experience I want to create. And it's a great opportunity to create even better user experience.
I love it. I think it's like what you said at the beginning is sketching, empathy. Like, well, I guess technically AI could replace sketching, but it's never going to be able to replace what's in our head and how we're thinking about it. And we can use these tools to help us get better, quicker, do things differently, but it's never going to be able to replace the knowledge that we have of what we can create. So I totally agree. And I think you said it very well. And I'm really excited to see what happens, because like you said, it like blew up. Like everything changed 2 weeks ago as far as like technology. Everyone kind of changed their whole strategy. Like the Googles, the Amazons, the Microsofts, like they're all doing, they kind of rethought this. So I'm really curious to see how that's going to affect designers and our careers.
We just have to be curious and to look what happens.
Yes.
And
yes.
Let's be surprised.
I love it. Yes. Let's not overthink. Let's be surprised. And let's not forget about sketching and user flows and empathy and all of those things that make us passionate and excited and great at what we do. So, well, thank you so much for chatting with me. This was super interesting, super fascinating. I really loved hearing about kind of your careers, and a lot of it we talked about just some theory and some idea and how to really be passionate, become the best designer you can. So I really appreciate you taking the time to chat with me.
Yes, thank you for the invitation, Jan. It was very cool.
Of course. And I'm looking forward to following along with Sisters and seeing what happens next.
Yeah, it will grow slowly, but it will grow.
Definitely. Awesome. Okay, well, thank you so much, Nicolas. We'll chat soon.
Thank you.